The courtroom smelled like stale coffee and tension, a smell I'd never forget. My wife sat across from me, perfectly poised, perfectly composed, her friends smirking behind her. I had spent years believing she loved me, but all it took was the first laugh during the divorce trial to realize how little I had ever mattered. I could feel every eye in the room on us. The judge shuffled papers, the lawyers whispered, and she, my wife, leaned back in her chair, folding her arms, a cold laugh escaping her lips as the attorney recounted years of our marriage, twisting my words, painting me as unstable, petty, the villain in the story she had rewritten for her own advantage. The humiliation burned, and for a moment I felt something dangerous flicker inside me. My hands clenched into fists on my knees. The kind of fury that comes when someone you trusted completely shows their true face. She laughed again, louder this time. I could see the satisfaction in her eyes. She thought she had won, that this courtroom was her stage, and I was nothing but a prop in her performance. That's when I did it. Slowly, deliberately, I reached for the buttons of my shirt. The murmurs started immediately. The judge looked up, confused. Her smirk faltered, just for a second. I took off my shirt. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten anyone. I simply stood, letting the room register the physical transformation that had been building for months, the result of early mornings and late nights, pushing myself to the limits of discipline and focus. My muscles were defined, my posture confident, my presence undeniable. The attorney stumbled over their next words. The courtroom was silent, the only sound the faint shuffle of papers. Her friends looked embarrassed, unsure of how to respond. Her eyes widened, and I swear, for the first time that morning, I saw a flicker of uncertainty. "You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone?" I said quietly, letting the tension stretch. "You think your laughter here erases the truth? Look at me. Really look." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The smirk was gone. I could see her brain scrambling, trying to process what I had just done. All her little manipulations, all her careful words, couldn't undo the fact that I had taken back my power in the most basic way possible. My own body. The judge cleared their throat. "Sir, please sit down." I did, slowly, letting the energy linger. I could feel her staring, powerless, while the narrative shifted subtly in the room. The jury, if there were one, or just the people observing, now had a new perspective. The victim wasn't so weak after all. The trial continued, but I was no longer reacting. I was in control. Every lie she tried to spin, every exaggerated story, met a calm, unwavering presence that refused to crumble. I answered questions clearly, without anger, without embarrassment. My voice didn't shake, my hands didn't tremble. I owned the room simply by refusing to be small. After hours that felt like days, the judge called a recess. She tried to approach me, whispering through her attorney. "Why are you doing this? Are you trying to humiliate me?" I smiled faintly, calm for the first time in years. "No," I said. "I'm just showing everyone who I really am. And maybe, just maybe, showing you what you lost when you stopped caring." She walked away, her confidence gone. The laughter had vanished. I didn't gloat. I didn't chase her. That wasn't the point. The point was that I finally realized I didn't need her approval to define myself. The rest of the trial passed in a blur, but I noticed small changes. The witnesses who had been nervous around her now seemed hesitant to embellish. The lawyers adjusted their tone when speaking to me. I wasn't invisible anymore. I wasn't the man she had tried to make ashamed. Months later, after the divorce was finalized, I looked back at the trial with a strange sense of pride. Not because I had humiliated her, not because I had shown off my body, but because I had finally reclaimed my dignity. The act of standing, bare-chested in a room full of people who wanted to see me crumble, was a symbol. A symbol that nothing she did could erase my self-respect. I moved out of the house we had shared, into a small apartment filled with sunlight instead of judgment. I started focusing on myself entirely, the body, yes, but also the mind and the heart. I pursued passions I had ignored for years, rebuilt friendships, and for the first time in a long time felt peace in my own company. She tried to contact me once or twice, sending messages that hinted at regret. I read them, smiled faintly, and deleted them. The laughter that had once broken me now reminded me of the strength I had found. People still ask why I took my shirt off that day, why I did something so unexpected. The answer is simple. Sometimes the world tries to define you by shame, by humiliation, by the stories others tell. And sometimes the only way to reclaim yourself is to show, in the most undeniable way possible, that you are not what they think you are. That day, in that courtroom, my wife laughed at me. But by the time I walked out, she had learned something she couldn't ignore. I was no longer hers to control, and no amount of mockery could take that away. I never looked back. I never allowed her laughter to echo in my life again. Instead, I built a life that belonged entirely to me, unbroken, unshaken, and finally free.